A recent appearance of Meghan Markle on The View has brought chaos, with Whoopi Goldberg seemingly delivering a pointed rebuke to the Duchess, leaving viewers stunned and sparking a heated debate about Markle's behavior. This incident has raised concerns about Markle's perceived entitlement and her tendency to court controversy, further cementing her reputation as a divisive figure. The tension was palpable as Markle, a guest on the daytime talk show, began to address the audience. However, before she could fully articulate her point, Goldberg, known for her sharp wit and no-nonsense attitude, interjected. While the exact words exchanged remain somewhat unclear due to overlapping audio, eyewitness accounts and lip-reading analyses suggest Goldberg's interruption was pointed and far from accidental. Sources close to the show have hinted that Markle's segment had run over its allotted time, and her attempt to extend her airtime, perhaps to further a particular narrative, was met with Goldberg's firm, public correction. One insider described the exchange as a clear power play, with Goldberg subtly reminding Markle that she was a guest in her house. This incident has been interpreted by many as a much-needed reality check for Markle, whose carefully curated image has often been criticized as being out of touch with public sentiment. Critics argue that Markle, accustomed to the deference afforded to royalty, may have overstepped her boundaries on The View, attempting to control the narrative in a way that rubbed Goldberg, and potentially other members of the panel, the wrong way. The perceived entitlement displayed by Markle, according to some viewers, echoes previous accusations of diva-like behavior, further fueling the narrative of a woman struggling to adapt to a life outside the strictures of royalty, yet still clinging to the privileges it afforded. Markle's supporters portray her as a victim of relentless media scrutiny and racist undertones within the British establishment. They argue that she was driven out of the UK by a hostile press and a royal family unwilling to protect her from the intense media attention. They celebrate her for breaking free from the rigid constraints of royal life and forging her own path. Her supporters see her as a strong, independent woman who has been unfairly targeted for challenging the status quo. The View saga chaos, however, has provided fresh ammunition for Markle's critics. They argue that Goldberg's interruption, regardless of the specific context, highlights a pattern of behavior where Markle appears to demand special treatment and becomes defensive when challenged. They see it as further evidence of her perceived arrogance and unwillingness to accept accountability. The incident has also sparked debate about the role of talk show hosts and their responsibility to keep guests in check. Some argue that Goldberg was simply doing her job, ensuring the show stayed on track, while others believe she was unnecessarily harsh and disrespectful to a guest. While the specific details of the exchange between Goldberg and Markle remain somewhat shrouded in mystery, the incident has served to amplify the existing criticisms of the Duchess. It has reinforced the perception of her as someone who is overly sensitive to criticism and prone to playing the victim. For her detractors, this latest controversy is simply another example of Markle's perceived entitlement and her tendency to create drama wherever she goes. For her supporters, it is likely to be seen as yet another instance of unfair targeting and biased reporting. Regardless of one's perspective, the incident on The View has undoubtedly added fuel to the fire that surrounds Meghan Markle, further solidifying her position as one of the most controversial figures in the public eye.